Hello and welcome to the video. My name is Dychronic, and today I'm taking a look at the Xur, his location, his random rolls, my recommendations for December 16th, 2022. So you can find the Xur in his regular spot in the hangar. Just make your way over to the top left section of the hangar right here. Don't know why my marker's not there, but this is where the Xur is, right there. This is a high overview in case you cared about it. First up for the weapon today, we have the GRAVITON Lance, which is an exotic that has some pretty cool shaders on it. I mean, look at these things. They're out of this world, am I right? Essentially, this thing is not really amazing at anything. It used to be straight like top of the meta at one point when pulse rifles were tearing off. And technically the second shot of the 2 burst has infinite range, which kind of makes it more like a scout rifle. And if you like pulse rifles or scout rifles, it kind of feels like somewhere in the middle. And I think that the Catalyst gives it aim assistance, which is actually pretty cool, but definitely more of a PvP weapon. Following that, for the Hunter exotic, we have the KHEPRI'S Sting. This is an exotic that I believe is banned in competitive play, if you didn't know there is competitive play. Not like the competitive playlist, but actual professional competitive play, where essentially punching somebody with your full melee instantly casts a smoke bomb, and you gain true sight when you're in your own smoke bomb effect. And this is any smoke bomb, you can just throw one at the ground. And your smoke bombs deal increased damage. Essentially, you get wall hacks while in your smoke bomb, which is why it's banned from competitive play, because this is a very high skill ceiling kind of exotic. You can literally call out the locations of every enemy player to your team and you'll know where they are most of the time. Although it is somewhat of a higher skill floor as well. As far as the roll goes, I guess you'd like to see a lot of strength, and I guess with this class a lot of mobility, and it does have that. Although resilience and recovery are a bit low, it could work with your build. Up next, let's go ahead and take a look at the Titan exotic known as the ARMAMENTARIUM. And honestly, this is not a bad exotic. It gives you an additional grenade charge, which is really nice with storm grenades, with glacier grenades, and you do get overflow charging. Although it kind of messes with grenade kickstart because you don't often have a 0 grenade anymore. So perhaps overflow charging isn't nearly as good as it used to. And furthermore, obviously, Heart of Inmost Light is just vastly better in almost every single way. That being said, if you don't have either, this is an okay option. And it's so festive with the festive shader. If you don't have it, this shader is actually very nice and festive. As far as the roll goes, I guess you like to see a lot of discipline, and it does have a lot of discipline. Slightly low on the total stats, but not a bad roll, although I'd like to see more resilience and recovery. And of course, for the Warlock exotic, we have the VERITY'S Brow. In my opinion, probably one of the most underrated exotics in the game, because in my opinion, it's like top 2 Warlock exotics in the game. Specifically more so for PvE, but it makes your grenades do so much more damage, charge faster, give your teammates stuff. It's such a good thing, and it works universally across all the builds, and honestly even works really well with Void instead of Controverse Hold, which I absolutely love. If you don't know, Weapon Final Blows with a damage type matching your subclass gives you death throws. So that's the weird kind of stipulation, but not hard to do. And death throws provide grenade damage bonus. I think it's like 20% per stack up to 5 stacks, and you gain grenade energy. And when you have death throws and you throw a grenade, which happens all the time, nearby allies gain greatly increased grenade regeneration for a short time. So you help your team, you help yourself with more damage, you help yourself grenades more often. It's just something that's really nice. And getting killed with a weapon that matches your subclass is not hard. You just pick a primary or a special that matches. It definitely worked pretty well with the volatile rounds based builds with a Void weapon like Funnel Web, and of course on Void with the grenades. Although I still think Starfire Protocol is going to be vastly better for the solar version. Moving on, let's take a look at the legendary weapons. First up, we have a False Promise, which is a 360 auto rifle with Zen Moment and Underdog, as well as a few other things I'm not really a big fan of. Obviously, I'd like to see more damage, more range, and perhaps more handling. Following that, Whispering SLAB, a lightweight frame bow, which is firmly planted unrelenting. Not bad, but definitely better options on these kind of weapon. Wow, that accuracy is terrible. On these kind of weapons for the lightweights, you definitely want to see as much accuracy as possible, and it is lacking. After that, we have the Survivor's EPITAPH, which is a 180 hand cannon with a surplus and moving target, which is not a bad combination. Also has ricochet rounds and hammer forged rifling. Would like to see a ranged match to work, but overall, not a bad roll, but I'm still not a big fan of the low magazines that these things have. And of course, the fire rate and sustainability. Following that, IOTA DRACONIS, a high impact frame fusion rifle with a surplus plus harmony, having a charge time. I'm not really a big fan of charge time because it does lower the impact, but overall not a bad weapon. Following that, we have the 7 Seraph CQC-12 with an autoloading and shield disorient. I really like this one with autoloading and trench barrel, autoloading and vorpal. Also has assault mag as an option that it doesn't have, and of course it does have full choke, which is a good thing to have on a PvP kind of weapon. Following that, we have a Tarantula, which is a Genesis and box breathing, not really near the top of the meta anymore. It's definitely more of a firing line with an autoloading or field prep stuff type Pen definitely has a lot better options. Although not a bad roll, box breathing is better than most people think it is. And of course, the Keening, which is an adaptive single fire, because there's an adaptive 3 burst if you don't know. And this one has Slideways and Zen Moment. Again, not a bad roll, though. Like to see a lot more range options, and I personally, again, don't really like things that are not the 2 burst or the 3 burst. After that, we have the legendary armors. Real quick, just gonna go ahead and check and see if there's any shaders. Sometimes there's like a little bit of shader to dismantle for it. 58 recovery, resilience, and intellect strength, not bad, but you could definitely do better. 64 with high resilience, mobility, intellect, discipline. This is actually quite good, recommend it. We have 56 with resilience, it's kind of meh, and 62 with high mobility. Not usually something that people want, but it depends how it fits with your build. But definitely this chest piece is looking pretty. And of course, we have the exotic weapons. First up for Hawkmoon today, we have Surplus. Again, my general rule for this weapon is rangefinder plus 1 of these giving you recoil direction, bringing it up to a 100 recoil direction, and it has neither. After that, with DMT, which has subsistence. Again, my general rule here is going to be moving target or verbal with 1 of these giving recoil direction, so you can get it up to 99 or 100. Depends on what kind you have. Sometimes they give you plus, I think this gives you plus 15 rather than plus 10. You only technically need a plus 10. And of course, if you did not know, any exotic engram you ever receive, including these ones, will be guaranteed to be an exotic you don't have, and a high stat roll outside of the Lost Sector exotics, which I think I got Severance Enclosure last time, and I got it again. Well, this has been the most expensive 2 points of infusion, but you know, you win some, you lose some. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom, Dad, Kip Shaw, Rob Strayer, Monday, Stu Buckers, Unipanther, Casey Reagan, and Mark Slabber for their support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy it. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.